just start by tackling it end on the topic. What are superpowers? Lola, is it like what Clark Kent has? Like you can fly, you can, fight. What are superpowers in the context of the workplace?
Thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. So it is essentially that really what Clark Kent, so Superman, what he has. So most times in the organization, you would have come with a skill. So you studied something or you're known for a particular competency. But there are some things that clearly we cannot see most times when we interview, or even though we can't, but we probably can't see it in very real terms. Those are the things that help you thrive. Particularly, your superpowers will be anything that helps you move from that first level to the next. So what are some of those things, for example? Emotional intelligence, perseverance, innovation, seeing the cup as half full as against empty. So basically anything soft skills that helps you sort of build on top of your technical skills to make you really, really a great employee or a great team player. So that would be how I describe superpowers.
Okay. So, Dele, what's your opinion about superpowers? And maybe you can talk about tech skills.
Okay. I think for me, talking from a technical perspective, superpowers could be the skills that you have, the technical skills you have. If you're a programmer, for example, could be the languages that you've mastered. If you are an hardware engineer, could be the tools that you've actually built, and other innovations that you can contribute to your organization or to the society. So those are actually the superpowers from a technical perspective.
Thank you very much. So I have this guy that, I follow. I read a lot about him and the things he puts out. His name is Jim Quick. And he popularized this term. I don't know if he was the one that coined it. It says, learning is your superpower. And I read, that really resonates with me because it's not just about soft skills or technical skills, but also is about a mindset. What's your attitude towards work? What makes you different? What sets you apart? So I'm really excited to be talking about this, moderating this session about this topic. But now that we've talked about superpowers, are there real life consequences to having or not having superpowers? So maybe Lola, you can tell us, why is it important?
So, at the end of the day, I did start by saying you would have gone to university or, you studied some skills, programming languages, whatever it is. That's what every other person is doing, right? So there's a lot of people with those skills. But what ultimately decides that you get on the juicy projects, you get called upon to do work over and again, would be those skills that you're sort of exhibiting at a level higher than other people. So I'll use myself as an example. I have done consulting for almost 2 decades now. And initially when I started, I used to be the only one at the time who would be on a project in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. So I had this, It can be done. There's anything to be done, my hands are up. Now what's happened is almost 20 years later, it gave me a firm footing in that profession. There's virtually any topic, and I say that all sense of humility. I would have the opportunity to speak a little about something, and that's because, like you said, I maintained a mindset of questioning things. I always ask questions. I always put my hands up. And so at the end of the day, it became a natural, there's an opportunity, people say, okay, let her go and do it. So you might have the skills and all of that, but if you don't seek opportunities to actually learn more or even share with others what you know or the quantum of what you know really is until you have the opportunity to collaborate and work with other people. Of course, building on some of these superpowers I talked about.
So you were a fixer.
Exactly, Olivia Pope.
All right, nice. So let's talk about it from a different perspective. From your experience, how has a lack of superpowers affected or truncated people's careers or maybe their path, their growth path?
Well, I think you would not be able to perform at your peak. And that's because, okay, let's take, for example, we're in the digital age. And, most industries are now adopting technology. Even if you're an accountant, for example, if you don't know how to use some tools, you may not be able to perform well, in your organization. So if you lack, technology skills, for example, you would not be able to do your work well. So in that regard, I think if you don't keep improving on your skill sets, learning new ways to to improve your work, I think you are going to be left out in that industry.
Okay. So let me stay with you. What is your superpower?
I think for me it's my skills, my tech skills, and the fact that I am very I don't want to use the word impatient. I have that great.
You have a bias for action.
Yeah, sort of. I like to be practical. I like to be practical. I feel like word of mouth is cheap. Action is the real deal.
Awesome. Okay, so Lola, you are a HR consultant, right? And you have like decades of experience. As an up-and-coming professional, how do I identify my superpower? How do I know what is special about me? And how do I, the B part of that question is, how do I hone my superpowers?
Thanks for that question. I think that's a very good question. So I think the first thing for knowing what your super or how to identify it would be those things that flow to you naturally. So a lot of us almost think that it has to be really, it has to be really cool stuff for it to be something you can actually capitalize on. I mean, a lot of us are told that we should aspire to eventually start with a job, but build a career out of something you love doing. So I think the first thing would be what you love to do. The second thing would actually be get feedback regularly. So you might do or like doing different things, but it's important to be able to ask people to tell you, okay, how do I think I did on this? And that's another thing, really, having that questioning mindset. It's also having a mindset of learning. So you ask questions, let people let you know what you're doing well or what you're naturally good at. But I think for me, what has worked is I'm a people person. I love working through people. So it was natural that I would seek a career that allowed me also do that. So it's important to build on that. What you naturally like doing is one of the first ways to identify what your superpower would be.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to that? So how do I know what my superpowers are?
I think you would know from the things that you enjoy doing. Like I said, I'm a technical person. I love building solutions. For example, if I walk into a room and I see a problem, I want to do something about it technically. For example, when I started jobs in Nigeria in 2012, and it was because of the fact that people were sending me CVs. Those people that were, not connected to the internet at that time. So they were sending me CVs, and I felt like a lot of these people, needed a portal where they could submit their CVs and employers could find them. So I built up a platform from there, and they were able to do that. And that's actually what led me to building FindWorka as well, So, yeah.
Awesome. So, Lola, back to you. Every Clark Kent has a kryptonite. So how do you moderate or manage your superpower so that it doesn't become a weakness? It doesn't hold you back?
Thanks. So I think the first thing is to run away from stereotyping. So when you watch a lot of home videos, there are some characters that they like to play a particular role. So when you see them now do something else, you're like, but they're not going to play it well. And then maybe it's on another level, or somehow you end up realizing or living that aspect in your real life. So one is to run away from stereotyping. So you're great at a particular programming language. You're known as the expert. People come to you all the time. But somehow you then get drunk on that level of expertise, and you stop asking questions. You stop working with other people. So what will then happen is you will sort of be confined to your space of what you know or don't know, as it were. One other thing is to always actively seek opportunities to play another role. So there's some people who naturally, because of how they are, people just go to you and say, oh, you be the team lead, you do this. It is important to actually take a step back and take another role, because sometimes you learn a lot from looking than when you're the one actually doing it. And then I think the third thing is to also challenge yourself. I mean, I say to my colleagues at work, once you've done a document or a report or given a client a particular deliverable, you should not repeat it the next time, because that way you're stunting your own growth. So it's to also have that mindset of challenging yourself continuously. Otherwise, you will be like Superman, that kryptonite becomes the issue.
Okay, thank you. Following from that, Dele, can you help us out? in the tech space, what are the resources that I can leverage to learn and hone my skills? What are the networks that I need to plug into? What's hot in tech in general,
First off, if you want to learn anything in tech, Google is at your disposal. All right? It's on your mobile phones. It's on any device. Just Google how to learn HTML, how to start a career in tech. You'll find some information, useful information that will guide you. And secondly, there are online resources like Free Code Camp, Udemy, Coursera, and many others. We also launched FindWorka Academy, so you can also follow that and see free resources that you can use to learn how to start a career in tech.